says recording pause right
Oh, there we go. I
now. There you
started
go.
it. Okay.
So let's get started. My name is Sarissa Hartwell. I'm with the State Water Resources Control Board, and today I will be facilitating this meeting. And this is the California Financing Coordinating Committee's Fall Funding Fair. If you're here trying to seek funding for your infrastructure projects, you are in the right place. We have local and state and federal agencies who will be presenting funding opportunities. And yes, we do have someone from the federal branch here, and we welcome him. So again, welcome all those, and let's get started. Today's overview of this is an overview of the day. We'll have presentations, then we'll have a break, and then we will have an evaluation. And the evaluation is to help us to give you a better experience. One of the evaluations we received previously is how long our presentations were. And so we did shorten them so that you have more time in our breakout rooms. And that is where you can ask questions about your particular community. You can ask questions about what you heard during the presentations. That would be your opportunity to do that. And then we'll have the virtual booth. This is the latest agenda that I have presented. So again, my name is Sarissa Hartwell. I'm with the State Water Resources Control Board. And this is today's agenda. And it's also in the chat if you want to see it. But the agenda and the handbook and the presentations will be on the CFCC website. And the first thing after our introductions would be the funding resources. There's going to be a presentation on how to access that. Then we'll have our federal agencies present, and then we'll have state and local agencies present, a break, and then we'll have the remaining of our state and local agencies presenting. And then we'll have the evaluations, and then we'll open up the breakout rooms. Speaking of the breakout rooms, they're not open right now, so you don't see this button at the bottom of your screen, but there will be 4 buttons at the bottom that says breakout rooms, and then that's the opportunity for you to go in and out at your leisure. That's the opportunity for you to speak to the program staff directly about something you heard today, or about eligibility, or any kind of information you would had questions you may have had or comments that you may have had during the presentations. Because as I said, we're not going to have during the presentations, there's no opportunity to ask questions, but that will be the place where you can. Right now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to launch our poll, our in-meeting poll, just to find out who's here and why you're here and what your needs are. So let me launch that. And if you can take a few moments to take the 8 questions so that we can see what's going on, we appreciate it. Oh, and if you pick other on any of these questions, would you write in the chat that what that other is? For instance, for question 2, how did you hear about it? If you have other, we would love to know how you heard about it, because that would be another way for us to get the message out. Also, with question 3, if you're not here for planning, construction, implementation, or outreach, we would really love to know the other. For those who are representing the underserved community, there's a lot of funding out there for you. So we're so happy to see that you're here. Again, in the breakout room, that's where you can visit the agencies and ask all the questions that you have regarding what you heard today or about any additional funding that may be in the future. And there's a race between Northern California and Southern California. Normally, Northern California wins, but this year, Southern California is winning. And we do have some funding available for tribes. I'm so glad we have those representing the tribal organization. That's really good to hear because we're always trying to reach out and find you. And what I really appreciate is the fact that, well, we have been doing the funding fairs for a long time now. And it's really nice to know that even though we have been, there's still those that are here for the first time. I'll give it a few more minutes, those to complete this, and then I'll end the poll. I don't see any more of the bars moving, so at this time I will end the poll. Thank you to those who took it. We really, really, truly appreciate this information. Now we'll continue. As I said, the access to the agenda is also in the chat, but it's going to be at the CFCC website. That's at www.cfcc.ca.gov. Also, you'll see the handbook there, and the presentations will be available there. Today's presentations may not be uploaded yet, but they will be uploaded by next week. And right now we have Gabe from DWR is going to be giving us a small presentation on how to navigate the CFCC website. So I'll stop sharing my screen and let you start.
Perfect. Thank you, Sarasa. Website. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for joining us today. So I have a couple things here to share for the CFCC website, which, as Sarasa just mentioned, www.cfcc.ca.gov. Links in the chat. Basically, all of the information from today in some form will be on this website. So as an example, there will be links to all of the presentations. As Sarasa mentioned, not all of them are uploaded right now. Apologies for that. We're juggling some difficult coordination stuff with what's going on the federal side of things with the federal government shutdown. So some things aren't quite updated yet. Two things that I wanted to highlight, because they're a little bit different if you've attended one of our funding fairs in the past, are the grants portal presentations. There's two grants portals. There's the California grants portal and the federal grants portal. The California grants portal is grants.ca.gov. It looks like this. The federal grants portal is just grants.gov. In the past for these funding fairs, we've had Shivani Bozvarela and David White give full presentations on both of these portals. And we're not going to do that today. What we have instead is on the CFCC website, we've made a few updates with quick links here. This section, we have links to the California and federal grants portals. And then we also have presentation snippets from previous CFCC funding fairs that are overviews of those portals. So if you're curious, if you want more information about them, you can open up these presentation links. They're just YouTube links like this. They're about 10 minutes long, and it gives you a walkthrough of what these resources are and a little bit like how to use them. So like I said, not going to go through all of that today. I did want to mention The California Grants Portal is basically it's this one website. It provides a centralized location to find state grant opportunities. So this includes all state grants that are offered on a competitive or first come, first served basis. And that also includes loans and federal assistance funds. And then for the federal grants portal, I believe this is managed by the Department of Health and Human Services, but it's also a centralized location for grant seekers to find and apply for federal funding opportunities. A little bit of a disclaimer, as you can see on my screen, there's a big warning status up at the top right now with the current lapse in appropriated federal funds and the kind of ongoing federal government shutdown. Information on this grants portal may be a little bit out of date or slow to update. There's fewer federal staff on the back end to like maintain and update this information. So your mileage may vary at the moment, but just want to give that notice. And there is this big warning status on the front page here that you can see. So yeah, so those links are here on the CFCC homepage under quick links. Also on this homepage under quick links is a link to the 2025 Fall Funding Fairs Handbook. A link to that was dropped in the chat for the Zoom meeting. This handbook contains all of the participating agencies' funding programs. You can see this like an intro statement. And then for each of the agencies, there's a blurb about that agency, the funding that they provide, and there's a table that provides links and QR codes to the funding programs that that agency has currently available. So that's here as well on the CFCC website. There's recordings to past funding fairs. And then, as I mentioned, slide presentations here. Some of these, like I said, are not updated, especially some of the federal ones. So we're going to look to get those up online as soon as we can following these funding fairs. But yeah, those are all here as well if people are looking for links to those. And it's a really good resource, can help provide a lot of stuff, anything from the CFCC. If anyone has any questions about it, please feel free to reach out. But yeah, that's kind of the main overview for the CFCC website. If there's questions, again, also feel free to drop it in the chat. We'll be putting in the agenda and links to the CFCC website as this funding fair goes on. Yeah. SWRCB, back to you.
Thank you. So that was the content of the CFCC website. Like he was saying, it's a great resources. I really think that you should look at the California Grants Portal because all the grants for loans and grants for the state of California are uploaded to that portal. And so you can type in any kind of information. If you go through the presentation and how to navigate it, it will show you how you can find types of funding opportunities available. So at this time, we're going to start with our presenter, and our first presenter will be speaking is David White. He is from the Bureau of Reclamation.
All right, thank you, SWRCB. Let me start sharing my screen. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is David White, and I work for the United States Department of the Interior Bureau of Reclamation. I'm going to give two short presentations this morning. The first one is an overview of grants.gov and how to use it to find and apply for federal funding opportunities. The second one will be specific to reclamation. All of the information that I'm talking about can be found in our handbook and online. You're also welcome to contact me if you have any questions, and I will be in the break room. Let's start. Grants.gov. We're going to break this up into three different parts: understanding the federal funding agency, searching and applying, and tips for applicants. Now, let me start with, here we go. The federal funding agency. No surprise. Federal funding agencies are different, and their missions and priorities change over time. Y'all out there have a lot of great projects. Sometimes you're trying to find a federal agency that can help offset the cost. It's important to understand each federal agency's current mission and objectives, and it does change over time, and that's okay. One great way of finding out the new priorities is through its own website. The other is through these funding opportunities. These are oftentimes called NOFOs, Notices of Funding Opportunities. The more that you can align your project with the agency's mission, the greater the chance of being selected for funding. Grants.gov is a huge website. It's a bit of a database. There's a lot that's there. You can search historical NOFOs, things that have been closed and archived. You can also look at what's coming down the pike, the forecasted ones, as well as the ones that are open, called posted. Lots of information. There are tutorials built in. There's ways of signing up for email notification. There's a lot of information there. Focusing on how to search when you come up to the tab for search for grants, there's different ways of searching. You can search, but like we talked about earlier, things from the past, things from the present, things from the future. You can break it down by agency. You can break it down sometimes by your eligibility. Who are you and what do you represent? Can you break it down geographically? Unfortunately, no. You cannot limit it to things in California, things in Interior Region 9. It doesn't work that way. Don't know if we will change it in the future to make it work that way, but at least there's different ways of searching. You can even do it by the domestic assistance agreement number, the type of agreement, cooperative agreements, grants, etc. Once you have searched and you've found something that's of interest, you can click on it and it will open up another window that has all the application material in it. It's important to read all this application material and become familiar with what that particular agency is asking of you. Every NOFO will have at least one point of contact. If you have any questions, talk to that person. They're very good. The NOFOs try not to hide the ball. We don't want you to bring us another rock and say no. We try to put it out there, the information that we need to competitively evaluate and rank your application against others. There will be a synopsis that has a lot of detailed information in it. There are criteria. Best advice, as we'll talk about later, is to copy the question and answer it. It's almost like your own cross-examination. If we ask a yes or no question, please begin with a yes or no answer, and then you can clarify all you want. If we ask you to use a particular formula, please use that formula. If you feel like that formula does not adequately represent your project and how great it is, then you can supplement your answer with a different formula. Once you can work online, you can work hard copy. If you do it hard copy, you take a risk, but if you do it online, there's often ways of having like a digital fingerprint to memorialize the work that you've done and submit it. Once you've submitted the application, you will probably get a number, a tracking number. You can follow that. That way it shows that you submitted on time. Please pay attention to the day and the time that it's submitted. We used to say 12 o'clock. We didn't know if that meant AM or PM, but now we try to specifically pick a time that's neither midnight nor noon, AM, PM, and oftentimes that varies by application, by time zone. So please pay attention to the time zone. I don't want you to miss it by 3 hours because it's due Eastern time. All right, tips. The earlier you start, the better off. There are a lot of standard forms, SFs, that you must fill out. You'll need to have a good detailed budget. You'll need to be able to answer the questions as they're written. Try to tell a compelling story about your project. I've seen lots of great projects that don't have a good story behind them, and it's hard to get an agency interested in that. There will be a limit on how much information you can include. You're going for mass, not magnitude. And then once you've applied, then we will go through a process where we evaluate and then we will contact you. Please keep in mind, NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act, will be required for everything, pretty much, unless the NOFO states that it will not be. That's something to keep in mind as you budget and as you take care of your schedule. That's it for that presentation. I'm going to close out of that one, and I'm going to try sharing again, and just give me just a moment. And I lost it, but I'm gonna find it right here. Can everybody see this? Taking that as a yes. Okay, reclamation. Again, my name is David White. I work for the United States Department of the Interior Bureau of Reclamation. Reclamation operates in 17 west-wide states and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different regions. Actually, it's 5, but anyway, we'll get that right. I'm based out of Sacramento. I work for our water conservation team. Currently, we've got about 4 people on our water conservation team. You're welcome to contact us by email as well as telephone. Reclamation historically has funded many different projects that involve water conservation, operational flexibility, and reliance and sustainability in times of hydrologic uncertainty. Historically, we've used 2 different basically pools of funding. One limited here in the California Great Basin region, and second through our more national program, which is Water Smart, based out of our Denver federal offices. There are many, many different types of programs. Each one is different. Some are for planning and design, some are basin studies, some are for construction. These are historical. Best way to find information about this, I've included information for points of contact and our Water Smart website. I'm not going to go through all these because there's so much information, but each one will have its own NOFO, and it will have a federal, whether or not there's a federal cost share. Who's eligible? Everything will, unless it states otherwise, everything will be made through an open, fair, and competitive process. We'll post it to grants.gov. Lots of different projects out there, but this is historical. As we continue to transition into this current administration, our NOFOs will reflect the current administration's priorities. Nothing wrong with that. What those priorities will be, we really won't know until this partial shutdown is over and the current lapse of appropriations has seen its course and we have a budget for next or this fiscal year. With that in mind, I don't know of anything coming down the pike right now in terms of NOFOs. We'll find out. Best thing I can tell you is to stay tuned between grants.gov, our Water Smart website, as well as staying in touch with a few of those of us who are continuing to work for reclamation. We'll be able to give you more answers as time goes on. Again, my name is David White. I will be in the breakout room. I'll be available offline. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, David. We appreciate that, that you were able to attend today, knowing what's going on at a federal level. We really do appreciate. Our next speaker is ready to speak. They're from DWR.
Hi, all. Perfect. Okay, I'm back. Hi, all. As mentioned before, my name is Gabriel Edwards. I'm from the Department of Water Resources. I'm a senior environmental scientist here, and yeah, today I'm gonna just give you a brief overview of DWR's grant programs and also some of our funding resources. So, the first thing I want to do is just quickly touch on how to find up-to-date DWR grant program information. Our programs are always subject to change, and we have Proposition 4 funding on the horizon. So the best resource for finding up-to-date information is our Grants and Loans website, since things will be shifting a bit over the next year. This website acts as a central hub for DWR grant programs, and importantly, it lists all the programs that are currently accepting new applications under the open solicitation section there at the top. It also includes links to individual DWR grant program websites, so you can find more information about those specific programs, about their timelines, their guidelines, all that kind of stuff. And there's also links to other helpful information like best practices, tips for applying to grant programs. It also has a link to the California Grants portal, DWR public notices, and a lot of other stuff as well. So this website is the best place to get a high-level overview of what grant funding is currently available from DWR. So I recommend keeping tabs on this. You can also check for DWR funding information on the California Grants portal. This has lots of helpful filtering options, as mentioned earlier today, and you can search for active and forecasted funding opportunities. This will give you a list of DWR programs, just like the grants and loans page. These two are updated at the same time. So like the same funding opportunities that you can find on the grants and loans page will be on the California Grants portal as well. Before I get to our grant programs, I want to quickly just touch on eligibility for DWR funding. We get a lot of inquiries about this. Generally, our grant applicants must be public or local agencies. So that's like state agencies, cities, counties, local water districts, et cetera, or tribal governments or nonprofits. Private individuals and landowners are typically ineligible for DWR grant programs. This isn't always the case. Occasionally we do have grant programs where private individuals and landowners are eligible, but usually that's an exception to the rule. If you're interested in a funding program, check the program guidelines to confirm eligibility. This is the best way just to get an initial check. And then you can always contact the program directly to confirm as well. Send them your specific project information, who you are, and they can help answer any questions about eligibility stuff. If you find a program that you're interested in, check the program's website for more information on how to submit a proposal. Either look for how to apply directions, or you can review the program's guidelines or proposal solicitation package for application instructions. And there'll be instructions on like proposal requirements, stuff like important deadlines, where and how to submit your proposal, and what information is required. And if you have questions, again, you can always contact the funding program directly. I really recommend that. They'll be able to better direct you, and you can learn more about like the application process and what the requirements are. And contact information can also be found on the program's website. So right now for DWR, the Riverine Stewardship Program is our only active funding program. This program is all about supporting fish passage and ecological improvements for streams. So there's about 6 million available. Applications are accepted for this until all these funds have been expended. And eligible applicants include tribes, local public agencies, and certified nonprofits. This program is limited to counties within the Association of Bay Area Governments. It's this little like crosshatched black area here on this map. And also to projects that are in the Delta Export Service Area, and any areas outside the Delta that receive water from the State Water Project or the Central Valley Project from diversions from the Delta. So a little bit of a mouthful. There is a slightly broader range than just the Association of Bay Area Governments. Again, check the program guidelines, and you can always reach out to them to confirm. Projects for this must support habitat restoration and green infrastructure designs and solutions that improve water quality and supply, and they must be consistent with these water code sections. It's water code section 79205.2 to 79205.16. Example projects for this are things like habitat restoration for streams, stream improvement efforts. Gravel injection is one example type of project. You've also got like fish passage solutions that help remove barriers to fish passage and remove barriers to fish migration, or just otherwise improve fish passage, and then improvements to water conveyance within riverine habitats. So that's all for our current funding opportunities. I will have a little info on Prop 4 to share. The main thing that I want to get across today is that DWR will be posting updates on our public notices page. So we have one public notice currently up that kind of lists the grant programs which we'll be distributing Prop 4 funding, and I'll go over these programs in just a second. Unfortunately, I don't have concrete timelines for this funding to be available. Prop 4 is going to use an emergency regulation process, and we only found out about this last month. And since this is a completely new procedure for DWR, we're still working through questions on this emergency rulemaking process and how it impacts our grant programs, including our funding timelines. So we will be posting public notices as more information becomes available. Continue to check this space for updates is the big message for today. And these public notices will also show up on the right-hand side of the grants and loans page. So you can find all of our grant program information easily in one spot. Again, that central hub, I recommend going to that to check it out. And then this is the list of grant programs that are expecting Prop 4 funding. We've got the Urban Streams Restoration Program, Sustainable Groundwater Management, Water Desalination, Watershed Resilience, Flood Control Subventions, and the Small Communities Flood Risk Reduction Program. So the public notice that I mentioned earlier, It has links to all of these program websites, as well as additional resources. I really recommend checking out that public notice if you want more information. Not all of these funding program websites have been updated with Prop 4 info because, like I said, we're still figuring out how this emergency regulations process is going to impact the funding timeline for these programs and if there's like any other requirements that we need to deal with. So yeah, check out our public notices for more info on Prop 4 as that gets rolled out over the next several months. And we have lots of additional resources and info on our website. There's a version of this presentation on the CFCC website that I shared earlier. You can download that copy. It has links to these DWR resources if you want more info. If you have questions about DWR funding, please email funding@water.ca.gov, or please feel free to reach out to me, Gabriel Edwards, or Leslie Pierce at DWR. You can email us directly, and we'd be happy to answer any questions. So yeah, that's the end of my presentation. Look forward to speaking with you all in our breakout room at the end of the funding fair. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabe. We really appreciate that. Our next speaker is going to be speaking from iBank, and here's, oh, Ray. Okay, great. Thank you.
Let me share my screen. Can everyone see my screen now?
Yes,
Yep.
we can.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today to learn more about the California Infrastructure and Economic Development Bank, also known as iBank. My name is Betty Bien, and I'm joined by my colleague, Lydia Workman. We're here to share why iBank may be a good fit for financing or helping to finance your infrastructure projects. This slide deck will be available on the CFCC handbook and on the CFCC website, so please don't worry about taking detailed notes. After the presentation, please come and visit us at the iBank breakout room for questions you may have. Lydia and I will be in the room speak to you about your specific infrastructure project. So let's get started. iBank was created in 1994 to provide a low-cost financing option to eligible borrowers for a wide range of infrastructure projects. We are a state agency housed in the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, also known as GoBiz. iBank's current focus areas are creating jobs, creating and preserving jobs, expanding access to underserved communities, and addressing climate change. Here are iBank's core programs. iBank offers a variety of programs to finance infrastructure and economic development projects in California. These programs include Infrastructure State Revolving Fund, we also call it ISOF program, Climate Financing, Small Business Finance Center, Venture Capital Access Program, Bond Financing Program. Today, we're going to focus on this purple icon and talk about how we can help finance infrastructure projects through our infrastructure loans, which is the ISOF program. The ISOF loan can include any cost associated with the project, including designing, acquiring, planning, constructing, improving, restoring the project within the state. Key point, all our projects must be in the state of California. iBank cannot be used for soft cost. For example, iBank funds cannot be used to pay design cost or planning cost alone. iBank projects exclude housing. We can do all the infrastructure around the housing, like a sewer and the water lines, streets and the street lights. We just cannot use our money toward the construction of the home. With this, I'm handing over to Lydia for the remaining slides. Lydia, go ahead.
Thanks, Betty. The next thing we're going to discuss is determining if your project is a viable project. So one of the things we look at is cash flow. We look at 5 years of your annual comprehensive financial reports or financial statements, as well as 5 years of projections. And we typically looking for up and down trends and want to know why those are happening. Next thing is for project use. Our loan funds are tax exempt funds. So we have to make sure there is little to no private activity. If there is private activity, we can do a taxable loan, but it has to be under certain circumstances. One of the ways that we have two repayment source types. One is an enterprise fund repayment where we take a pledge on system revenues or the revenue streams, such like a water fund or sewer fund projects. And then we have a general fund repayment, which is a leaseback structure, and we can use any unencumbered asset as the leased asset. For example, a fire station or a community center. One of the requirements that we have for our program is that the project has to be tangible infrastructure. We can't just do demolition or design fees. The total project cost has to include actual construction. We do loans from 1 million to 65 million, up to 30 years, depending on the useful life of the project, and we can do 100% financing of the project. Next slide. Eligible applicants for us typically are state or local governments, including departments, agencies, commissions, cities, counties, and special districts. We can do JPAs and nonprofits, but those are under special circumstances. Here's a few examples of eligible borrowers. This is for the city of Watsonville. They did a SB 1383 project, and this was for a new landfill. The city of Encinitas did a beautification and put in buffered bike lanes and improved stormwater infrastructure on Highway 101. And Tiburon Fire Protection District, they did a brand new fire station. Next slide. Here is another example of other types of projects that we do as well. We did a loan for the city of San Diego for $40 million to finance an organics processing facility at the Miramar landfill. That was an enterprise fund. And then we also did one for Alta Irrigation District, and that was to go ahead and oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. My apologies. To go ahead and do recharge facilities for groundwater mitigation and flood protection. Next slide. Why choose iBank for your loans? One, with iBank, you can save time. Our standard time is between 5 and 6 months, provided there's no delays in answering financial questions or getting required documents. This process can also be expedited. Again, you can do up to 100% financing for your project. We can do up to a 30-year term with, depending on the useful life of the project. We are AAA rated, so our cost of funds tend to be lower, so we are able to pass those savings on to our borrowers. And we also have a couple of environmental subsidies that you may qualify for as well. Our applications are done on a first come, first served basis. There's no competing. We don't have a scoring mechanism. There's no rounds of funding, so you can apply at any time. And we issue our own bonds to fund our program, so we never run out of funds. Next slide. Thank you for being here with us today. If you have any other questions, please feel free to go ahead and contact us at our email address above or in the slide, and we'll also be in the breakout rooms to answer any questions that are specific to your project and if there's anything that we can do to help you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, iBank. I always like hearing you guys because you guys always, for some reason, have money. Thanks. So our next speaker is going to be from the California State Water Resources Control Board. They're going to give you some information about what is available. I know you're here.
I'm here. I'm trying to figure out how to share again. Sorry.
Oh, okay, great.
Let me just do this real quick. Let's see.
Yeah, share your screen. So yeah, so all these, like I said, all these presentations will be uploaded onto the CFCC website, and along with, I highly recommend you all go into the breakout rooms and ask questions directly there.
Am I sharing my screen? Can you guys?
Yes, you
confirm?
are, and you also are sharing your notes. If you go
Okay,
up,
that I don't want to do.
oh, if you go up to where it said where how you had it to display settings,
Can you see it now?
not yet.
Oh, sorry, guys. I
Oh, no
practice, I
worries. Take
promise.
your time.
Okay, let's try one more time.
The California, as mentioned earlier, the California Grants Portal is another great opportunity to look for funding. We now if you go up there, yeah, there
Okay,
you go.
thank you.
See it now, yes.
Sorry. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Ipian Rivera, and I work in the Division of Financial Assistance at the State Water Resources Control Board. Our presentation today is very brief introduction to the many grants and loan programs that we offer. To learn more about each of our programs, we encourage you to visit the CFCC handbook or our website. Oops. All right, so the State Water Resources has several funding wastewater funding programs that provide funding for planning and construction projects to maintain compliance with the waste discharge request and the National Discharge Elimination System permits. Grants are available to those projects benefiting small disadvantaged communities. Priority is given to septic to sewer projects. The programs that we offer currently are the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, also known as CWSRF, and the Water Recycling Funding Program, WRFP. And we have some pictures of different projects, the blow-off valve in photo number 1, 2 is a low pressure pump station, and 3 is a new pipeline. So the State Water Board has numerous drinking water funding opportunities I'll discuss in the next few slides. For long-term solutions, the State Water Board provides funding for, sorry. One moment. Okay, that for drinking water infrastructure projects needed to achieve or maintain compliance with the Safe Drinking Water Act requirements. Grants and low interest loans are available. Priority is given to projects that address consolidation or address issues that cause a water system to have a safer status of failing. In addition, we do have funding for lead service line inventory and replacement. Programs include Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, Expedited Drinking Water Funding Program, and the Lead Service Line Funding Program. And again, there's some pictures here of a drinking water project in Seville. The Emerging Contaminants Funding Program provides funds towards projects that reduce people's exposure to PFAS and other emerging contaminants through their drinking water. Funding resources or funding sources for this program include the Drinking Water SRF, Emerging Contaminants Fund, and the Emerging Contaminants and Small Disadvantaged Communities Fund. The Water Board also funds interim drinking water solutions that address urgent drinking water needs. Eligible projects include bottled water, hauled water, well repair, well rehab, and replacement, vending machines, point of use devices, emergency interties or treatment systems. The state small water systems and domestic well, serving disadvantaged communities and low-income households are eligible. The programs include cleanup and abatement, urgent drinking water needs, and the emergency drinking water cleanup and abatement account, also known as CAA. There are several state water-funded drinking water funding programs that are administered by counties and nonprofit organizations. These programs provide funds to individual households or individuals served by domestic wells or state small water systems to address a water quality issue. These programs are known as the Domestic Water Wells and State Smalls Program and the Drinking Water Assistance for Households. And again, we have some pictures of a domestic water well, hauled water tank, and then a finished domestic well. The Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, also known as the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act of 2021, provided the US EPA with $60 million over 5 years to support water infrastructure, environmental cleanups, and clean air protections. The state of California has received 4.3 billion of these federal funds to supplement the state revolving funds. This supplemental funding is going to additional funding for Clean Water SRF and the Drinking Water SRF programs, lead service line replacement, and addressing emerging contaminants. Technical assistance is one of our programs that's available to support drinking water and wastewater needs. Example of project types that TA can assist with includes funding applications, project planning and administration, engineering and environmental services, legal, rate studies, income survey, capacity development, and emergency response for drinking water only. Priority is given to small disadvantaged communities and in accordance with drinking water and wastewater funding priorities. Requests are accepted continuously and assistance will be granted based on capacity and program priorities. The State Water Board has several site cleanup funding programs. These are grants for cleanup of a site contaminated by leaking petroleum underground storage tanks, USTs, where there is no financially responsible party. In addition, we have grants and loans to assist small businesses, UST owners, and operators to come into compliance with UST regulatory requirements. These programs are also known as the Orphan Site Cleanup Fund, SB 445, Site Cleanup Subaccount, SCAP, the Removal, Replacement, or Upgrading Underground Storage Tanks, RUST. The Non-Point Source Program, which funds projects to reduce and mitigate the effects of non-point source pollutants such as sediment, pesticides, and nutrients to waters of the state within priority watersheds. Interested parties should contact their local regional water board or the NPS webpage for assistance. And again, these are some pictures of projects that are that have been funded around the state. So resources, we strongly encourage everybody to please check the programs that were briefly described today in the CFC handbook. It contains all the information about what's eligible, who's eligible, timelines, and where to get additional assistance if you have questions. The Division of Financial Assistance webpage is a good resource. We highlight any new funding opportunities, any updates that's provided there. And in addition, we also encourage you to stay informed by subscribing to one of the many State Water Board's email subscription lists. Look for our program list of programs under the Division of Financial Assistance. And then lastly, many of the funding programs offered at the State Water Board including Drinking Water SRF, Clean Water SRF, RUS, SCAP, use the Financial Assistance Application Submittal Tool, and it's a web-based interface that is accessible 24 hours a day. The help desk is there to assist you. And this is where where our applications are made available to you. First off, thank you. So if you have any questions about any of the funding programs that that I mentioned today, please join us at the virtual booth today, or you can reach out to the DFA General Inquiry line after the funding fair, and that phone number is 916-327-9978. Again, on behalf of the State Water Board's Division of Financial Assistance, thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you for that information. At this time, we are so on schedule. We appreciate that. So this is where we will have our break before we start in with the rest of our state agencies and local agencies. My time on my computer says 9:54, so we'll come back around 10:05, so that give you an opportunity to stand up and stretch your legs and get some coffee or whatever you need to drink. So we'll take a 10-minute break right now and see you back here at 10:05. Presentation. I have 10:05. We will resume our presentations with the state and local agencies. The next agency to speak will be from the Strategic Growth Council.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name's Adrienne Retz. I'm a special advisor with the California Strategic Growth Council. Before we dive into this presentation, I want to give you just a very quick background on this department. SGC, or the Strategic Growth Council, is a 10-member council, and we are comprised of 7 state cabinet agencies and 3 publicly appointed members. And we coordinate work across state government and with public agencies, communities like yourselves, and other stakeholders. Our breadth is very, very broad. So our statute has us working on everything from affordable housing to water conservation, to acquiring land for tribal communities, and much more. Since we've been established in 2008, we've invested over $4 billion in California's most underserved communities, and we do that through a number of social and physical infrastructure programs. So I will touch on some of our work during the presentation today. First, we'll talk about our Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities program, also known as AHSC. Sometimes people also refer to this program as ASIC. We have a ton of acronyms at our organization. I'm also going to mention our Factory-Built Housing Pilot Program, our Sustainable Agricultural Lands Conservation Program, and 2 programs that are funded with Proposition 4, the Climate Bond, that are coming up soon, which are the Transformative Climate Communities and Community Resilience Centers. Let's start with AHSC. It was established in 2014, and the primary goal being to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And to reduce those emissions, this program finances integrated projects that include affordable housing, but also sustainable transportation, urban greening, energy efficiency, and community programming. This program is funded by the California Climate Investments Program at the state. Some of you may know that as Cap and Trade. This program was just reauthorized and is now titled Cap and Invest. So that's where companies pay in, and then we use those dollars to create programs that reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Some of the objectives of this program, again, are to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but also to support disadvantaged communities across the state, improving public health, increasing mobility options like active transportation, so that's bicycling, walking, etc., increasing transit ridership, and of course, developing affordable housing, especially near transportation options. We don't do this alone. As you can tell, our department works with a lot of other state agencies as the nature of our council, but this program is developed and administered by us at SGC, but also with the Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD, as well as evaluation and metrics from the California Air Resources Board, or CARB. We do provide technical assistance with this program, and so we have technical assistance providers as well. This program, of course, funds affordable housing developments, but also related infrastructure, and then other elements that make up affordable housing in a sustainable community. So things like bikeways, sidewalks, bus shelters, transit ridership programs, workforce development programs, car sharing, affordable housing development, resident support, and much more. So it really is a holistic program. Here on the screen is just a quick example of what a funded affordable housing sustainable communities project could look like. So you can see it's much more than just the housing development. We have administered 9 rounds of this program at this point. So a lot of that investment has gone across the state to over 200 projects, building over 22,000 affordable homes at this point. Just want to quickly show you the scale of this program. These are millions of dollars. And so round 9, which is the active round we are in now, is $775 million. And I wanted to talk about this program since it is in an active round right now. The applications for this round have closed, but it is really worthwhile to keep up with this program. We anticipate awards to come to our December council meeting on December 10th, and then that will really demonstrate where communities in your neighborhood have been funded, and then we will immediately gear up for the next round, round 10 of this program. So we will have resources, of course, from the CFCC website, but I do encourage you to follow along all of our programs at sgc.ca.gov. Okay, I'm going to quickly move through some of our other programs. I did want to spend a moment on our factory built housing program, which is in its pilot stage. We had administered a factory built housing program over the past 2 years and have since redesigned it to better meet the needs of our community. Initially, this was focused on building factory built housing manufacturing facilities and to support factory built housing. So just quickly, the definition of that means it's essentially a residential building or dwelling unit or a combination of those things that is manufactured separately and offsite from where it will eventually be located. So this program is about to gear up, and there will be 2 different grant types focused more on kind of research, planning, and gearing up to support this type of housing in your communities, less about the manufacturing facilities themselves. So this is a really great opportunity if your community has been considering or thinking about other ways to bring affordable housing to your communities. This program does have an open comment period right now that does close in a few short days. So if you are interested in learning more, want to check out the guidelines, you have opinions or feedback on the guidelines that we have proposed in this kind of redesigned factory built housing program, then please check out our website. Again, you can go to our main website and easily navigate to any of these programs, and I will be in the office hours for you to chat with me about this. We do anticipate this program going live in December. So funding is available coming up before the end of the year. So I do encourage you to keep tabs on this one. Okay, Sustainable Agricultural Lands Conservation, another acronym we call SALC. It is really designed to protect agricultural lands that support infill development and compact development. We really want to safeguard the economic sustainability and food security for these lands across the state and really make sure that we're continuing the conservation of these working lands. This program has 3 different grant types. You can have a planning grant that's like land use policies, economic development strategies. We have grants to actually acquire land, and then we have capacity grants that really support the expansion and capacity of your organizations to develop these projects. This is also in an active round right now. The application period has closed for this particular round, but I wanted to flag it for you all because we're moving to a rolling cycle. So instead of some of the previous programs I mentioned where there's definitive open dates and close dates, this is moving to a rolling cycle. So you will be able to apply for these programs. We, in this current round, have already administered or awarded $128 million for planning and acquisition grants. So we're preserving more than 11,000 acres in this round alone. And we will award the capacity grants, the remaining grants, this December. And again, moving to a rolling round, so there's funding available for you if you're interested in preserving or conserving land. Finally, I want to mention a few of our programs that are funded in the Climate Bond, TCC, and CRC. These are really community developed and driven programs. TCC will be entering round 6, so quite established. CRC entering round 2. Both of these programs are again in an open public comment period, which means it's your opportunity to provide feedback on the changes we're proposing for these programs. The main change is to shorten the amount of time we take to execute a grant agreement and spend that time instead on pre-development phase. So some big changes to kind of the timeline of this program. But the public comment period is open until January. So plenty of time for you to provide feedback. Both of these programs are holding virtual sessions that you can join. So I encourage you to stay tuned for those programs so you can learn when funding does become available. You are tuned in to see when the NOFA comes out. With that, I'll turn it back over to the administrator.
Thank you for that information. Always great to have information on affordable housing because that seems to be a hot topic these days. So our next presenter is the Rural Communication Assistance Corporation, RCAC. They're going to be presenting their information.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Jerry Furlong. I'm a loan officer at RCAC, and I'll provide information on our technical assistance and environmental infrastructure loan programs.
Jerry, sorry to interrupt. We're seeing your presentation notes if you want to swap the display settings.
Sorry about that. How's that? Whoops. Hold on. How's that, you guys?
But your presentation is not showing yet.
Okay.
If you share your screen and go up to the top with this display setting, but again, as we were saying, there's a lot of good information that the agencies are providing. So we want to highly encourage you to visit their breakout rooms at the end of the presentations. Up there where it says display settings, at the very says show task parts. Yes, there you go. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay, so Rural Community Assistance Corporation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that operates in 13 Western states. We serve Indigenous and rural communities through training, technical assistance, financial assistance, and advocacy. RCAC has helped rural communities access millions of dollars in grants and loans and trained thousands of individuals through customized on-site technical assistance and workshops. We understand the infrastructure and development can be an expensive project and present many challenges that rural communities may not have the capacity to take on. Our technical assistance can help maneuver around many of the programs you have heard about today. I'll highlight a few of the areas where TA's technical assistance may be available to help your community. We have consultants that can help you to apply on the FAAST site and USDA site. RCAC provides rate studies to water and wastewater utilities to promote utility sustainability, rate sustainability, and fairness to rate payers. Financial assistance assesses real operating costs and present alternative rate structures for broad consideration and adoption. In addition to our technical assistance, RCAC provides loans for environmental projects. The next part of the presentation will address financing your project. Water, wastewater, solid waste projects are eligible products or projects. They need to be in a rural community with population of less than 50,000 people. The system must primarily serve a low-income community. Nonprofit organizations, government entities, federal or state recognized tribal entities are all eligible borrowers. If you have a question about eligibility, contact one of our loan officers. I'll list them at the end of the presentation, and we can also chat in the breakout room. Now I'll present two common loan types. This public utility district operates an older wastewater treatment plant that is nearing its design capacity. The California State Water Resource Control Board committed a total of $10 million in grant funding to improvements to expand and update the treatment plant. In large construction projects, the general contractor typically has a 30-day payment terms. It could take up to 60 to 90 days for the water board to reimburse the contractor. And so in these cases, RCAC can provide a bridge loan or revolving line of credit to pay the general contractor within 30 days while the utility district awaits the grant reimbursements from the state. So it helps with that cash flow crunch for the districts. There are other common grantors as well: Department of Water Resources, California Energy Commission, American Rescue Plan Act, just to name a few. And we have utilized this loan structure to bridge other projects such as solar installation, park and community facility construction, and so on. In the second example, a municipal water district needed to expand their existing storage capacity. The cost of the tank and installation and connection was $402,000. RCAC provided a 6-month interest-only period for the district to complete the connection, followed by a 9.5-year repayment plan. That would be principal and interest payments with, of course, the 6 months being interest only. As another example, I recently funded a loan to a district for the purchase of a parcel of land. This district anticipated an increase in their community's population, transitioning from a seasonal to a year-round residence, and needed to add a well to their system. We funded the purchase of the parcel and provided a 12-month drawdown period to drill and connect the well. This loan is being amortized after the construction period, over a 20-year period. I would like to refer you to the CFCC handbook provided in the materials for loan terms. You can access the application on our website, or you can email me directly and I will send you application process, application packet. But it's always good to contact us in advance, kind of talk about the project, kind of frame it in and see what we can do and see if it would be of help to your project. Again, I'll be in the virtual breakout room. We can talk specifics about your project, about your situation, see if we can help. And that's all I have for you today.
Thank you for your information again. We are all highly stressing that you go to the breakout rooms so that you can ask as many questions as you would like to each presenter. Also, you can ask the presenter for their contact information and you can exchange contact information with them. So I really highly recommend that you go there. So now our next speaker is going to be from the California Department of Resources, as we know as Cal Recycle.
Hi, yes. Oh, I thought I was sort of last though in this presentation. Am I incorrect on that?
Say that again.
Yeah, hi, this is Jeff Lynn with Kawasaki. I was just wondering, I thought on the agenda I was sort of last on the presentation list. Is that not
That is
correct?
correct. You are the last agency to present right
Okay.
now.
Yeah, there's no one else before me, I guess. I guess what my question is.
Cal Rural Water.
Oh, I'm sorry. CRWA I am so sorry.
You caught me a little bit unawares, but that's
Thank
okay.
you. No worries. We can go back to the CRWA can present and you can be last. I was looking incorrectly.
No problem.
So our next speaker will be from the California Rural Association, known as CRWA. Are you there, Ruby and Julia? Let me see. I saw your guys' name. CRWA, are you ready to present? If you're speaking, your mic is on mute. Okay, I'm gonna keep looking to see if you're here. I see your name.
So let's go to Jeff at Cal Recycle. And
Yeah,
follow up with-
yeah. Okay, Jeff. So now you're speaking, Jeff. Back on
Now I'm
screen.
speaking. No problem. All right. Well, let's see. Yes, thanks, Gabe and Surestra. My name is Jeffrey Lynn. I am a senior environmental scientist supervisor with the Business Census and Market Development section within CalRecycle's Division of Circular Economy. So thanks for having me. I'm going to today provide a high-level overview of CalRecycle's funding mechanisms supporting the state's recycling, reuse, and waste prevention infrastructure and climate change goals. But before I do that, I want to go in the chat and put in sort of the funding homepage that we've got at CalRecycle. I realize I may not have done that in my PowerPoint, so I just wanted to slip that in there in the chat room just in case. So give me a minute or hopefully less, and I will download my PowerPoint. So I'm sure you can see that. I just need to, hold on for a sec. Okay, get this in the slideshow. And then I got to change this to, all right. So hopefully everyone can see the full screen.
Yep.
And I will start. All right. So here's a list on the slide is a list of funding, usual funding eligible applicants for our loans and grants that we provide to do the recycling infrastructure. Now, bear in mind, these programs vary in terms of eligible applicants from program to program. But for the most part, it's most of the applicants we usually get are local governments and jurisdictions and for-profit private businesses. But we also involve tribal entities. Those applicants usually go with our infrastructure grant programs when it comes to, especially with beverage containers, which I'll be talking about later. All right, but first off, I'm going to go through the loans that we've got. We've got 4 loans. It kind of ranges from the Recycling Market Development Zone loan program, greenhouse gas, beverage container recycling loans, and the tire equipment loan programs. Now, this slide actually shows in case an outside stakeholder or potential applicant wants to get more information about our loans, they can go to our funding page and fill out what we call a contact form. It usually goes to our shared inbox, and then we take it from there. And basically, it's a 2-tier process in terms of evaluating a loan. First, we do the project eligibility check, and that's from our environmental scientists in my unit. Once that passes that check, then it goes to our loan unit, and they, in turn, do the check on the financial eligibility side. Okay, so first I'm going to go through the Recycling Market Development Zone Loan Program. So CalRecycle administers this program to assist recycling manufacturers to finance machinery, equipment, real estate purchases, and ancillary costs to site and expand in California. And these manufacturers use waste materials has to be generated in California to make either recycled content intermediate product and or final products. So with this particular loan program, it's been around since 1991. There's currently $22 million available. Again, this program will fund equipment, real estate, leasehold improvements, and working capital. The loan terms are negotiable. It generally ranges, though, from 5 to 10 years, and the interest rate is at 4% currently. Okay, next we're going to go to our greenhouse gas reduction loan program. This program also assists recycling manufacturers in financing machinery, equipment, and ancillary costs to site and expand in California. Now, this particular program is part of what we call the California Climate Investment Program, and this is funded mainly through the cap and trade dollars as well. So this program has been around since around 2014, I think. Currently, there's about $5.2 million available to loan out. Now, this program is almost a carbon copy of the RMDZ program that I was just talking about. Similar loan terms, similar interest rates. The only exception is a narrower focus, obviously, because we require the applicant to report quantifiable greenhouse gas reduction data in their application, or as also as the loan goes along too. So that's a big requirement, the GHG reduction loan program. Right, next we go to our beverage container recycling loan program. This program was approved in November 2024, so it's relatively new. This program helps develop and improve recycling facilities that process empty beverage containers into valuable materials. And this one has about $30 million. It's non-revolving funds though, so it does expire in 2027. Now this again, this loan will fund equipment mainly, and also installation costs and similar costs for that towards that activity. Now the eligible projects, there are two basic ones here. One is establishing a new certified beverage container processing facility. Or if you have a current facility that's a processor, but you want to expand capacity, that can also be, this loan can also fund that too. But the important thing to point out is that they have to accept, all these facilities have to accept all forms and types of CRV materials. And yeah, and the interest rate's 4%, similar loan terms as the other ones that we've been talking about. Next, we have our tire equipment loan program. This is a very new program. This was approved last month, actually in September of 2025. So this program helps promote and develop alternatives to the landfill disposal and illegal dumping and stockpiling of used waste tires. The loan amount, well, first off, there's $1 million allocated annually for the next 5 fiscal years, so starting with this fiscal year. And basically, the applicant can apply for up to $1 million, but no more, obviously. So project-wise, you can either use these funds to do a reuse project. Basically, example that would be like retreading of a waste tire to extend the tire's useful life. Either that, or you can do recycling and remanufacturing products that produce a value-added feedstock, such as chrome rubber, or a finished product. So the funds will, pay for equipment, machinery, and leasehold improvements as well. Yeah, interest rate's the same, 4%. Loan terms will be similar, or will be determined obviously by the loan unit. Okay, well, speaking of the loan unit, they use what we call the 5 C's of credit. All this here, I'm not going to go through these in much detail, but this is typical of evaluating a loan application. And not only that, we do have a loan committee that actually will sit down and evaluate a potential application. And if they do end up recommending it, SWRCB will announce the award at a future public meeting that we usually do every month. Okay, now we're going to go through to the grants side of things with SWRCB. We have 3 grants that definitely deal with infrastructure, all on the beverage container side of things. So first off, we have the Reusable Beverage Containers Infrastructure Grant Program. This provides infrastructure and startup costs for establishing a bottle washer processor for glass reusable containers. And actually, there's a cycle open right now for this particular program. The due date is December 4th of this year. Funding-wise, there's about $23.75 million available. Eligible cost-wise, similar. You can buy equipment, software, supplies, personnel and training, and expansion costs, and things of that nature. Okay, next we have our Beverage Container Redemption Innovation Grant Program, or RIG for short. This program helps pay startup costs for recycling programs such as recycling centers, mobile recycling, reverse vending machines, or bag drop programs. Now there on the slide, there's a varied list of eligible applicants. You'll notice at the bottom bullet, there's one for dealer cooperatives. Actually, there is $40 million available just for that particular applicant right now. And it is a continuous application cycle. The due date is through June 30th of 2026. As for funding for the other eligible applicants listed on the slide, it's anticipated that there will be funding in 2026, sometime in 2026 for those other parties. So eligible cost-wise, this program will fund equipment, outreach, advertising, vehicles, licensing, and permits, and personnel as well. Okay, last but not least, we have what we call the Increased Recycling of Empty Glass Beverage Containers Grants Program. That's a long title. This program basically funds regional pilot programs that supply bins for collection, consolidation, and transportation of empty glass beverage containers from restaurants and on-sale retail licensed establishments. And this program is another one that's actually has got an open cycle right now. Due date is December 4th. Currently, funding-wise, there's about $4 million funding available, usually for each fiscal year. And again, the project, the funding, the grant will fund the bins basically, but also the transportation collection costs to gather these glass beverage containers to a glass processing facility. All right, well, that is it for the loans and grants that we have for infrastructure from CalRecycle. This slide obviously provides a list of all the contacts and resources. You can obviously contact either myself or my staffer, Jeff McDaniel, who will be presenting at the next funding fair on the 29th, I believe. So if you have questions on the loan specifically, you can either contact our business assistance team, businessassist@calrecycle.ca.gov, or our loans team at loans@calrecycle.ca.gov. But I would advise you to contact the business assistance team first. They're usually a first point of contact when it comes to inquiries. So beverage container grants, there's an address there for the grants team. And of course, we have our breakout room coming right soon after our presentation. So feel free to ask any specific questions regarding any of those programs that I've talked about. And of course, you can peruse our the handbook, funding handbook that has all of our information for all of our grants and loans as well. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that information. We appreciate it. At this time, he was our last speaker. So we are going to be the evaluation link in the chat. At the same time, we're going to open up the breakout rooms, and we would appreciate it if you take the evaluation first so that those agencies can go into their breakout rooms and set up to receive you. So the link to the evaluation is in the chat right now. Please take it. And right now I'm going to open up the breakout rooms and allow the representatives to go into each of their breakout rooms to start setting up to receive you so that you can ask questions there. So as I said, they're going to go in there and you can ask as many questions inside each agency's booth so that they can answer any question that you had during the chat, because I saw quite a few chats during messages to each of them in the chat. So they're going in there to set up at this time. The link to the forum is on the chat, and they really appreciate you guys taking that. And once you finish taking the survey, you can come back and enter the breakout rooms. Again, the breakout rooms are open. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see 4 little buttons, and that's how you enter the breakout room. If you don't see those 4 buttons, you might hit the more. And when you hit more, you'll see breakout rooms. And if you have any questions, I'll be here in the main room, and you can always come in and ask me questions or leave a chat in the main room. But like I said, we're here until everyone has their questions answered in the breakout rooms.
Hi, I had a question.
I'm just busy talking and my screen was on mute. I'm sorry.
Okay, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name at the beginning.
It's SWRCB Hartwell. I'm with the State Water Resources Control Board.
Okay, great. Nice to talk to you here on Zoom,
Okay.
Sarasa. We are consultants and we help government agencies with budgeting and cost estimating. Where is the best place for a company like ours to register?
With the state?
Or with the various agencies? Like where is there a consultant registration
No,
page or database,
not
or
at all.
is
I
it
can
is
only
it
speak
separate
for
for
the
each?
I can only speak for the State Water Board, and how we do our eligibility is we can't directly work with you and give you funds. You would have to work with either a city or a county or someone who's eligible, and then work through them to apply for funds. We cannot give you funds directly. So if you're a consultant and you want to help a city of Sacramento, you would have to go onto their website and say, because they used to have I don't know if it still exists, the small business bureau part where you can go on there and register your name and all your information. So if there is a city contract, they can go to that list and find out what type of consultant you are. That I don't know if they still have that. That's back when I worked in the private industry. They had the small business administration tool there. But for us, we only work directly with public agencies, private, things like that. We don't have. But that I can only speak for the water board. You might
Okay.
want to go into each of the other breakout rooms and ask them if they have such a list. But I know the water board does not.
Okay, yeah, we help with cost estimating, so to help folks get accurate budgets for their applications. So we would basically be helping the applicants apply for funding and
Well,
assisting
if
them.
I may suggest it, because RCAC, they are the ones that provide technical assistance for us. So they would be an agency that you could go and say, hey, I'd like to help you guys out with our applicants, because that's our TA, technical assistance, that we go to RCAC and CRWA to ask them for help for our eligible applicants. Like we call them the small disadvantaged communities or underserved communities. We direct them to those 2 agencies. So you might want to go in their breakout room and ask how you can join them or sign up with them.
Okay, great. Yeah, because some of the smaller cities and counties that we've worked with in the past, they don't have a big staff to help them
Yeah.
prepare those like detailed cost estimates, and that's where
Yes.
we come in and help them
Yes,
put that
and that's who
together.
we use for those type of applicants. RCAC. I don't think CRWA is here today. They had a last minute cancellation. So I would go into, like I said, the RCAC room and see what they're saying and get their contact information from them, because that's who we use for our technical assistance to help out with those kind of applications.
RCA? That's the
Uh-huh,
name of the group?
RCAC, yeah.
RCAC? Okay, okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna join their breakout room. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Would you mind putting your email in the chat? I'll send you over my contact info.
Oh, okay, let me do that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Very nice, great presentation. And I was listening in on the whole thing. I learned a lot.
Oh, great. Is this your first time?
My first time, yeah, it was great.
Oh, okay, I'll put my information in there.
Very nice. And thank you, Lucy, for your message there also. I saw that in the chat.
Okay.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, you too.